they would press and seat the outside of the sheath into the housing. And then what they would do is you would use a similar guided block that you have, something similar, may not be exactly the same. You would then have them lay it in, route it back is what we typically do. I'm going to just make this a little bit thicker, bear with me. Okay, and then if I can change the size of my tool here. Okay, I'll just do it a different color. Then the actual core comes out. And then you have your hook fitting, okay?
Uh-huh.
What's critical for the double pulley, very critical for the double pulley, is that each cable is held in tension. So, I'll reiterate, you have installed the slug into the pulley, you've seated it into the housing. Step 3 is we need to engage the fitting into a guide or a nest or something, and then pull on that fitting when it's in a block, and then engage the end of the sheath into something, and it can be a spring-loaded type of a feature. And again, this dimension, as you showed in your display, oops, didn't show up. Give me 1 second. This dimension, we call it the B dimension. It varies from cable to cable, but the point is that we have to install this and then pull the cable in this way and lock on that. That then keeps the cable in tension. So this part of the cable is now going to be taut, and over here it makes sure that the cable is not going to be able to back loop, and possibly come out of the pulley. And that's most important for the double pulley, because the wires can be crossed on each other. If they're allowed to back out and then loop over, and I'm sure you can see in some of the other views, you also run the potential of, in this area here, you could almost have the cable core can actually hop over the pulley, and then you've got a real problem, because your actuator is not going to work properly. It's most important for the double pulley, but for all the single pulleys, it's an important feature too. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about this today, was to get the idea here. I would encourage that for all actuator assemblies, that's how we approach it. We nest, we install the cable plug into the pulley, we install the cable sheet into the housing, we route the cable in some way, probably something in this manner. You can actually loop it back to get back into the view of where the camera will be, engage it into a nest, apply a small amount of tension to the cable, and hook into some sort of a spring-loaded type of a check fixture. That will make sure that the cable is fully in tension, and then we can take an image. So the image then would catch all those things, and if we had the cable routing close enough, you may actually even be able to check the fitting. One of the reasons why I'm encouraging that is, likely in the end, this is not going to be the limit of how many cables that Juarez will produce. You may get into situations like we have, where we have 50 different cables, but there'll be some that are so close in length that the only thing that you can differentiate them with is by the end fitting, if they are in fact different. That way, you may be able to get into a smaller zone with your camera and be able to check all of those things. Now, you won't be able to check the loop of the cable. That'll be well out of your view. But future, but I think it's worth looking at. Do you get the concept?
Okay, yes, I got it. I will check it with my mechanical designer.
Okay, that tension is really critical as far as the failure modes are concerned, because in this case, I know you'll have a sensor. Like, I know you'll have a sensor here to check that this part's here, but if under some circumstance afterwards this cable is pushed in some way, this portion of the cable is going to back wind, and it's going to potentially create a bow out of that cable.
Uh-huh.
And then we run a risk of a cable becoming misrouted.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, after you've installed the cap and the screw, we don't know whether or not the cable is correctly in the track of the pulley. And
okay.
That's obviously really, really important. The other condition that we need to pay close attention to on the double pulley is that the cables are installed in the correct sequence. So the double pulley has 2 tracks. We need to make sure that the operator installs the cable that's on the lower track first. So when we look at that in the details, you'll see that in the pulley. It's the if you want the part number, it's the 2020501 pulley. You'll see the 2 different tracks there. We need to make sure that they get installed in the right tracks and that they aren't crossed over. And like I said, I'll say it again, applying tension is absolutely critical to make sure that they don't back wind and jump the tracks. Arturo, you've been assembling the Futurist parts now for a little while. You appreciate what I'm saying, right? About the cables going in the right tracks. And it's very important that we have tension. So even in the double pulley, you can route back both end fittings. And again, you may be able to get it all into one camera view. So please pass it on to your mechanical designer as
Sure.
kind of the concept here, and see whether or not